Okay, our first little slide here is from the Slime People, co-billed with the Crawling Hand. I believe that was like around mid-60s or something like that. And these creatures came out of the sewers and pretty much went back there. It was done by Joseph Robertson, who also did the Crawling Hand and then went on to do a slew of porn. Here's an old chiller theater favorite, The Pharaoh's Curse, where somebody becomes mummified and this guy looks like he's really fucking scared. Another 50s cheese fest, The Beach Girls and the Monster, with one-time matinee idol John Hall playing the role of the creature. Another chiller theater favorite, The She-Demons, Nazi scientists doing experiments on a volcanic island with the native women, starring Eilish McCullough of Sheena of the Jungle. Another 50s cheese fest by William Castle, 13 Ghosts. This one was also done in 3D because they were using the angle you couldn't see the ghosts unless you put on the 3D glasses. Another great 50s creature, monster that challenged the world. Giant snails woken up from their slumber by some kind of earthquake and are out in the Salton Sea sucking the fluids out of people, so to speak. Really cool monsters in this one. With, I believe it was Tim Holt was the star, ex-Cowboy star, Tim Holt. He was in this whole thing. So yeah, interesting little creature film there. One of my favorites, The Day the World Ended, with Marty the Mutant carrying Laurie Nelson through the atomic miasma. A little closer shot of Marty in a different still, I believe. Now here's one, Horror of Party Beach, and usually the monsters in Horror of Party Beach had that you know, cigar type thing sticking out of their mouth and stuff, but here it's some kind of creature that I don't even think we've ever seen in the film. If we did, it was very briefly. Another chiller theater classic, The Hideous Sun Demon, starring Robert Clark, who I was lucky to meet at an early chiller theater before he passed away. Another favorite of mine, Horror Hotel, with Christopher Lee, back in the 60s. It was actually, the real title was City of the Dead, but the exploitation guys jumped into Horror Hotel. Just ring for doom service. The classic Sam Sherman, Al Addison collaboration, Frankenstein versus Dracula. Another shot from Frankenstein vs. Dracula, with Frankenstein played by John Bloom carrying Al's then wife Regina Carroll. And this one was from Horror Express. This prehistoric creature taken over by an alien on a train with, I guess it was Peter Cushing? It was Christopher Lee, Telly Savalas, and Peter Cushing. Weird casting there. And another chiller theater classic, Frankenstein's Daughter, actually played by a man for some reason, because I guess they couldn't get a girl to play the daughter, although Sandra Knight was in it. This is the movie that broke my nose. It's in one of the magazines I wrote, Monster of Pedris Blancus. When this thing, another chiller theater one actually, when this thing came out of the freezer holding that severed head, I jumped up to change the dial on the TV, tripped over a hassock, hit the TV at the bridge of my nose, and shattered it. First of many broken noses, but only one caused by a film. There he is again holding the head. Oliver Reed in Curse of the Werewolf. Ollie's, I think Ollie only did one horror film, I think. That Night Creatures, if you want to call Night Creatures a horror film, but here he is in Curse of the Werewolf. The Amazing Colossal Man, starring Glenn Langdon, another film that unfortunately hasn't been released because of legal reasons, tied up with Susan Hart, who was the wife of James Nicholson from AIP. Maybe someday we'll get to see this thing. The Wasp Woman, played by Susan Cabot, an early Roger Corman favorite. Invisible Invaders, another 50s schlock classic, had aliens bringing back people from the dead, which oddly enough might have been the inspiration, or one of the inspirations, for Night of the Living Dead. Horrors of Spider Island, which just got released again on a Blu-ray. Weird little film, German film. There's two different versions of it, but here's your big monster. The Projected Man, another weird film, British actually. This guy gets caught somehow and is disfigured but has the touch of death. Monster from the Green Hell. A movie that's basically 75% stock footage from Stanley and Livingston and has these big plastic bugs. Earth vs. the Spider, a Burt I. Gordon film put out by American International Pictures, and here is the spider knocked out in the gym before it comes back to life after the band plays rock and roll, waking it up, proving that rock and roll can literally wake the dead. I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. This was one of the AIP films that basically, at the end, it turned into color because the monster was electrocuted, and they did that in a couple films, actually. They did it with How to Make a Monster and War of the Colossal Beast. Joseph E. Levine stole the concept for his Jack the Ripper, for when the elevator crushed Jack, you see the full-color blood spurt through the elevator floor. Of course, Night of the Living Dead. What, still collection wouldn't be complete without this little shot from Night of the Living Dead. There's been so much said about Night of the Living Dead, I really have nothing else to say to it. Mutations, aka The Freak Maker, where Donald Pleasance is once again a mad scientist and creates a humanoid Venus flytrap out of a guy. Dark Intruder. Now this is a weird one. This was actually supposed to be a TV series starring Leslie Nielsen as a supernatural detective, but for some reason they basically cheaped out and decided to release it as a 60-minute feature. And the demon here is played by none other than Werner Kempler, who was Colonel Klink on Hogan's Heroes. Day of the Triffids, another 50s one based on a novel by John Wyndham about spores that come to Earth and are activated when this meteor shower turns everybody on Earth blind, except for a few people that didn't turn blind. Plan 9 from Outer Space. Every still collection should have a still from Plan 9 for Outer Space with the immortal Tor Johnson and Vampira. The Brain That Wouldn't Die, or The Head That Wouldn't Die, with the world's tallest man, Eddie Carmel, as the creature in the closet. Of course, the head was the head was on the table, controlling the creature in the closet. Another wild, insane 50s flick. Frankenstein meets the space monster. A robot named Frank goes up, gets zapped by a laser beam, and comes down to Earth and starts killing people, but eventually has to battle this shitty-looking space monster. Look for an early appearance by Bruce Glover wearing a bathing cap as an alien. Count Yorg, a Vampire. Actually, when this scene did come on the air when I was watching the movie, the whole audience almost shit their pants. Robert Quarry was a great vampire in Count Yorga. First Man into Space. This was another one of those spaceman goes up and something else comes the hell down. This one had this guy encrusted with a bunch of stuff, and the only way he could keep alive was by drinking blood. The Creature from the Black Lagoon getting the spear gun treatment in an early 50s Universal horror movie that basically became one of the classic monsters of all times, along with Frankenstein, Dracula, and the Wolfman. The Flesh Eaters. This is what's left of Martin Koslick after the wave full of flesh eaters hits him in the face. This was a great film. I really loved this film because it became the thing of legends that were, legendary film that basically never showed up intact until Dark Sky put it out. The She Creature, another Paul Blaisdell creation that basically was used 3 other times. They removed the boobies and made it Voodoo Woman, and also used it in The Ghost of Dragstrip Hollow. Better shot of the creature. Adam Age Vampire, this weird Italian film where basically this guy turned into something to get skin grafts or some other weird shit. I gotta rewatch this one again. I haven't seen it since I saw it at a kiddie matinee back in the late 60s. The H-Man. Now this one's really fucking creepy, and if you can get the Blu-ray, which has the Japanese version on it, it makes more sense. It's sort of like these radioactive blobs versus the Japanese Shizuka. This ship wanders into a nuclear test area, and these men are exposed and turn into these blobs that basically eat people. They envelop them and dissolve them. Actually, the people that are dissolved are life-size, human-sized balloons. The Beast of Blood in one of the scenes that was probably cut out of the movie. This is when it basically washes up on shore and treks through the jungle and finds Dr. Lorca, who unfortunately removes the beast's head and keeps it in a jar. And if you watch the movie, we all know how that turns out. Here we go with Bride of the Monster with the immortal Tor Johnson tearing up the hero, I guess. I can't remember his name, Tim McCoy or something like that. Whatever. But anyway, love Bride of the Monster. It's probably Lugosi's best last film, so to speak. Another shot of the creature from the Black Lagoon carrying Julia Adams. Trog. This was another weird one. It was a British one starring Joan Crawford about another thought-out caveman type deal. Another publicity shot from I Was a Teenage Frankenstein. I think he killed this chick. He broke into her house or something. The Alligator People, starring Beverly Garland and Lon Chaney Jr. One of the weirder 50s things where this guy basically is turned into an alligator with a cool alligator head. Gorgo, the third film shot by Eugene Laurie, who previously did Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, which was stop motion, and The Giant Behemoth, which was stop motion. But for Gorgo, they went back to the old man in a suit technique where basically Baby Gorgo gets brought to London and Mommy Gorgo decides to follow and destroy London. Them, the atomic radiation film from the 50s. That atomic radiation caused these ants to become huge and eat people, and they wind up in the sewers of Los Angeles. This was a great film with James Arness, James Whitmore, and a bunch of other people that you would recognize. King Kong vs. Godzilla, not to be confused with Kong vs. Godzilla, this high-tech CG piece of shit that basically, this is the only movie I can remember back in '63 of me waiting on a huge line to go see. The hype for this was tremendous. It was like, some kind of, pretty much they acted like, the old wrestlers on Channel 9, but the hype for this leading up to it packed the place. And this one was Godzilla Raids Again or Gigantus the Fire Monster, depending on what print you got. Columbia released it and for some reason couldn't use the Godzilla name, so they used Gigantus the Fire Monster. Basically, it's Godzilla and Anguirus, or whatever the fuck its name was, leveling Tokyo. Here's a cool one. I know that Willis O'Brien always wanted to make a movie with cowboys and dinosaurs. And this was one of the first, I think this was the first cowboy and dinosaur movie made, Beast from Hollow Mountain, with stop motion and in color and things like that. The effects are really, really good in this one. Tyrannosaurus chasing and eating cowboys and stuff. Very cool. Another one that showed up on Chiller Theater. Conga, holding Michael Gough, who later became Albert in the Batman series. Michael Gough was playing around with some growth serums and made this ape really big, and it carried him all over London until it decided to get rid of him. Reptilicus, probably the most frightening hand puppet ever put on the screen. This was, I believe, a Swedish or Danish film, imported by Sid Pink and Americanized, but it was this big, slimy, snake-like dinosaur that was hocking up these green loogies on people that was acid and burned them and stuff. Really fucking wild film. The ads, newspaper ads, were basically so hyped up that you just had to go see this one. Another perennial favorite of mine, Roger Corman's Attack of the Crab Monsters. How can you resist a film called Attack of the Crab Monsters? Here, radioactive, oversized crabs eat people and absorb their minds and basically want to conquer the world. Well, didn't happen. Another huge insect, the deadly mantis, thawed out in the Arctic or Antarctic or something and flies around and eventually winds up in the Lincoln Tunnel in New York, a place where I have wound up on many occasions. 20 million miles to Earth with the Emar. This is unfortunately the dead Emar after the Italian army blew him off the top of the Colosseum. This is a little bit murky, but it's Rodan. Toho Pictures presents Rodan, the flying reptile that basically leveled Tokyo. This was really another one that was on Channel 9. Really scary because the whole lead up with these huge bugs in the chamber eating miners and stuff like that. Wild stuff. Scared the shit out of me as a kid. Seventh Voyage of Sinbad, a Ray Harryhausen stop motion thing with this cool Cyclops that you see with a spear stuck in his boob. Another shot of King Kong versus Godzilla, only in this still they actually took the real King Kong and superimposed it over Godzilla burning, looks like someplace in Washington, which should be burned. A great shot of Godzilla's feet crushing a whole town of Japanese people. The shot of the giant behemoth turning over the tugboat in the Thames River when the film opened. Tough scene because a lot of the bodies were bobbing up and you see kids' toys floating around in the water too. Godzilla vs. Mothra changed to Godzilla vs. The Thing because AIP distributed this, and I guess they figured that nobody would go in to see Godzilla beat up a giant moth, but nevertheless they played the thing with a big fucking question mark, and of course guys like me as a young kid were sucked in to see this one. It wasn't that great, and Mothra isn't really scary. But Ghidra is really scary, and this is where Godzilla, Rodan, and I believe Mothra did team up to fight Ghidra, the three-headed monster. King Kong escapes. Here is the Japanese version of King Kong battling the Robo-Kong, or Robot Kong, or whatever the hell it was. Shot from Beast from 20,000 Fathoms as the New York Police Department tries to hold it off. Unsuccessfully, I might add. This one might have been, jeez, I'm not even sure. This could be Destroy All Monsters. I'm pretty sure it was Destroy All Monsters, where basically they had all the monsters that were in any Japanese monster movie battling it out for supremacy. This one, I believe, is from 1 Million Years BC, the Ray Harryhausen remake of 1 Million BC, only better because they used these stop-motion dinosaurs. Really cool film, and I went to see it many times, and my parents always figured I was going to see it for the dinosaurs, but fuck no, I was going to see it for Raquel Welch. The Crawling Eye. This film deserves a lot better than it's ever got. This film really needs a Blu-ray production, basically. How can you go wrong with a film called The Crawling Eye, even though it was called the Trollenberg Terror when it came out? These alien creatures live up on top of the mountain, they're invaders, and basically what they do is they rip people's heads off. Or possess them, either one. Forrest Tucker went over to Great Britain to star in not only The Crawling Eye, but The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas and The Cosmic Monsters. Rollerball, the first one, not the remake, this one with James Caan as the futuristic sport of kings, I guess, whatever. Here's a shot of me with John Zackerly at the first, I believe it was might have been the first Chiller Theater, I'm not sure. First time I met Zach, great guy, wonderful human being. I missed the hell out of him. He was just one of the coolest people I ever met doing these conventions. I don't know what this is. I think we're almost out of the damn things. I guess we're out of this tray. I'm going to throw on another tray.